It was a quiet evening when I moved into the new apartment. I had just finished college, and the world seemed like it was at my feet. The apartment was small, but it had that charm, a blend of vintage and modern. Hardwood floors, high ceilings, and a quaint balcony overlooking the city's skyline. It was perfect, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off the moment I stepped through the door. The air felt different, heavy, as if the apartment had been waiting for me. But I shrugged it off. After all, I had a fresh start ahead from me. A new chapter. The apartment came at an affordable price, and the landlord had assured me that it was newly renovated. But despite the excitement of living on my own, I felt like I wasn't truly alone. At first, it was subtle, the faint sound of footsteps echoing down the hallway. It would happen when I was deep into a book or lying in bed, trying to drift off to sleep. A tap, a creak. I figured it was the building settling, an old structure with pipes and beams that groaned like it was alive. But then, the footsteps started moving closer to my door. It wasn't just the creaking of the floorboards anymore. I'd hear soft, almost imperceptible knocks. At first, I thought it was just my imagination. After all, it was a busy part of town, full of traffic, people, and distant noises. But one night, I heard something different. A soft whisper, low and strained, as if someone was standing right outside my door. "Help me." I froze. I was alone. I had to be. I looked through the peephole, but saw nothing. No one. I opened the door, half expecting to see a neighbor or a stranger passing by. But the hallway was empty. The building was quiet, eerily quiet. The apartment felt cold after that. I started to feel uneasy, like I was being watched. No matter where I went, the sensation never left. I even started to sleep with the lights on, my heart racing at the thought of what might be lurking in the darkness. I tried to ignore it, telling myself I was just overreacting. But the shadows seemed to move of their own accord. The stillness of the apartment at night was no longer comforting, but suffocating. Then, one morning, I found something that made my blood run cold. It was a photograph, wedged between the pages of a book I hadn't opened yet. It wasn't mine. In fact, it wasn't anything I recognized. The photo was old, faded, with a group of people standing together in front of a house. They were smiling, but there was something unsettling about their faces, something off. At the center of the group was a woman, her face half hidden in shadows, her eyes wide open, staring directly into the camera. And behind her, there was a faint, almost imperceptible figure, a tall silhouette, but the details were obscured. I didn't know how it got there, but I couldn't shake the feeling that the figure wasn't just a trick of the light. I I showed the photo to my landlord, hoping for an explanation. He looked at it for a long time, his face growing pale. He hesitated before speaking. That photo, it's from a family that used to live here years ago. They were never seen again. The apartment had one large, old-fashioned mirror, framed in dark wood. I had never given it much thought, but that night something caught my eye. It wasn't the reflection of the apartment or my own face. It was the shape of something else. Something standing behind me. I turned around quickly, but the room was empty. The cold, prickling feeling washed over me again. I could shake the sensation that something was there, just out of view. I walked to the mirror, inspecting every inch of it, but there was nothing unusual. At least, not until the next morning. When I woke up, I found something new in the mirror. A word scrawled in the condensation on the glass. Help me. It was the same whisper I had heard weeks ago. I rushed to the landlord again, but his face was grim this time. You need to leave. You have to get out of there, he said. His voice was shaking. The apartment, it's cursed. That family, they vanished, but they never left. They still walk the halls. I didn't leave. I didn't know why. Maybe I thought I could confront whatever was hunting me. Maybe I thought the landlord was overreacting. But the nights grew darker and the whispers louder. I could feel something following me, always just behind me, always in my peripheral vision. I heard it breathing, just a breath away from my ear. Then, one night, I decided to confront it. I waited until the house was silent, the air thick and heavy as it had been for weeks. I stood in front of the mirror and demanded answers. What do you want? I whispered. The reflection flickered. At first, it seemed like a trick of the light, but then it happened again. The figure in the reflection wasn't mine anymore. It was the same woman from the photo. Her eyes were wide open, her face frozen in terror. I stumbled backward, but I couldn't move. The words came to me, whispered by a voice that wasn't mine. Help me, or it will be you next. The mirror cracked. I don't know how long I stood there. When I woke up, I wasn't in my bed anymore. The apartment was dark. It felt wrong. I couldn't hear anything. Not a sound, not the hum of the fridge, not a distant city noises, just silence. The air was thick with a strange, suffocating feeling, as if I were in a place that had never been alive to begin with. The door to the hallway was wide open. I stepped out and I heard it. The whisper, louder now. You're still here. I turned, and for the first time I saw it clearly. The tall, dark figure standing in the corner of the hallway. It was there, in the shadow, watching me. I ran and I never looked back. I moved out that night. I haven't been back to the apartment since, and I don't plan to ever again. I tried to reach out to the landlord, but he never answered. The apartment was rented out again not long after I left, and I wonder who will be the next person to discover the truth. The last thing I remember clearly was a note I found just before I left the building. It was left on the counter in the kitchen, written in a faded ink. It read, "Don't open the door. It's waiting for you. And when it does, it will never let you go." Some doors are meant to stay closed, and some things should never be invited inside.